So we're at the final day, right? Final work day. Here's a presentation that shows just how far we've come from all the way back. Remember this? This is P1, right? We had boxes and we had some spells. The beam is still technically there in the form of Thunderbolt. And then once we kept going, here's the concepts that we had. And back when we were still figuring out, what we were doing and what genre we were trying to go for and what art style we wanted. Even then, you can still see like the Jesse Turner inspiration from Jari's art that we'd eventually come to use. And then once we go to P2, we were choosing between the two styles. And I just showed the magic one that we ended up going with. Sorry, the Cowboy Wizard we were going with, because we were going for Magitech and Cowboy Wizard. And this is the very first Nanagar particle. I mean, we still use this poop, right? It's used in almost all of our explosions. And we've kept it. It's just not a best sauce pick anymore. It's a normal, nice. And then P3, this was when we were deciding, okay, here's our two prototypes. Yeah, super beam and the action system that we finally went with. So this is technically the first iteration of what would eventually become our game. You can see all the basic stuff. Look how far we've come, right? This is just a few months ago at the end of summer. And look at that. This is the mock-up we have. Just take a moment to think of okay, how much better does our game look compared to this mock-up? We did it. The game looks really, really good, and it generally follows the same scheme.
We're gonna make
a train. So here's, fall starts and we're at POCT, and thank you all for the wonderful presentation that showed the vision. Right here is, I would say, when the vision just shone through, and we've been working towards it. And I'd say, well, you can agree, right? Our game looks very similar to what was shown here now. Especially this part, this looks like our game. Yeah. That's great. Our game just looks like that. PLCT, look at that. Right, the dialogue and our combat. And that was our inventory system. Actually, that was our inventory system for a long, long time until we got the campfire menu up and running. And back then we could still charge spells. And Timothy, this is just for you and Monov, but here's the wall mesh tool in its infancy. And look how much we've improved over that. And even in POCG is when our game starts looking like our game. And it's when we added the style meter and the style dog and stuff. And it's super weird looking back at just 2 months ago-ish. Something that. 3 months ago.
Green guy.
Oh man, green guy. This guy. Love that guy. Great guy. Charlotte, this is when we actually conceptualized Charlotte, and she looks very, very similar to what we have. I mean, we are using the same model, so it's great. POCG. POCG is when we start to have the basic spells that would form the basis of our super modular spell system. We did nix the shield, but otherwise, this is pretty close to what we are going to have.
Big ass butt head.
Yeah, that's before we resize them, right? Oh, now this is VS. Now remember, in VS, we had that one amazing day where everything came together. And the final day, we went from this in the morning to that. That was really good. There were fires everywhere, but Timothy was just holding them down as fast as they could pop up. At the end of the day, it was just a magical moment, right?
To the SD that day.
Yeah, and the artists too. I still remember Jari and Will high-fiving after they got this with that.
Oh yeah, that was an amazing.
And this was our gameplay at the end of DS, which looks very, very similar to just our game now. We really pretty much nailed it. If you look at DS as a representation of what the rest of the game would look like, I'd say we're aside from putting in the outlines, which greatly dramatically increased the stuff. Great job, Ian. This is very close to what our game is as it is right now. And now we're getting to alpha, which is the last section because beta is very similar. You remember what beta was. But this is the last slide. But in here you can see that this is where our game looks like our game. And just look at in a small amount of months, just how far we've come. We went from gray boxing and Unreal Running Man with sketches and placeholder art to what we have now, where it's a boom, bam. It's so pretty. It's so much shit, and every single bit could not have been done without all of you guys, right? From Will's directing to the little bits and details and the descriptions from Arthur, as well as levels 2 and levels 1 in the tutorial. Sorry, Rebecca, you did the tutorial. Arthur did 1 and 2. Jox's level 3 and combat and AI design. Rebecca's tutorial and really, really nailing and scaling the narrative to fit our game. Ian's direction and art. Michael's really good production and planning and scheduling stuff. The lighting, beautification, and particle effects on Will's side. Forrest's modeling on Charlotte and the enemies. Jarvis' really, really great work on UI. UI of the game was freaking good. Timothy's help with SD and structuring everything properly, plus doing the miscellaneous tasks and knocking them out like a madman. Ollie's work, your work on the spell system and the sound system, like it's really, really coming together. Damon, your AI made this game really, 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 really great. AI on the mini bosses is great, AI on the final boss is great. But of all the other shit you did, there's a lot to name, right? Localization, auto saving, making the campfire much better. Yeah, just a ton of stuff. And of course, Yuliming, your work on the UI and just trudging through that shit and just sorting all the problems out with our UI from start to finish. Yes, but and Meredith. I didn't forget you. Meredith, your work on the grunt, as well as all the animations of our enemies, gave the spirit and life of our game. So none of this could have been possible without every single one of you guys. And for that, we all thank you so much. All right, let's get to it.